Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Wei Pan. We are a 3-year-old startup which has offices in China mainland cities, Hong Kong, and Silicon Valley. What we do is basically developing and building a fleet of intelligent vehicles, including the autonomous vehicles. The main purpose is to bring to go into this transportation and also the logistics market, so that we could bring goods or even passengers from point A to point B. Just like this example that we are seeing here on this picture, we actually deploy a fleet of a couple of vehicles on the streets. Basically, we modify the cars to make them become self-driving cars to meet the demands that the transportation and logistics markets have. Probably most of us probably have a car or probably has used a car before, and there are different levels of autonomy, and we can, based on this, by the experience that we are using with cars, you can see that the market is pretty big, and mostly because there are several levels of autonomies, even the car OEMs are working on. For example, you can see that level 2 and level 3 are basically driver-assisted systems where cars like Tesla has through the autopilot mode and so on. And for us, our focus is mainly more on the higher automation levels, which is level 4 and level 5, where the humans would don't have to, they can keep their eyes closed or even hands off while the car is bringing them from point A and point B. This is what we are working on. And so I think all of us want to have a safe, safety is very important, especially when we use the roads. So these 4 elements are the key elements that we are focusing as well while developing the self-driving technologies. For example, how we can improve the safety on the road through our technology, how we can improve the efficiencies through the fleet of self-driving cars, how do we improve mobility, even for people who cannot drive, but they want to have some sort of privacy using cars, and we could use some sort of like self-driving cars as well. And even for the economics, like there is also a huge potential market of cost saving when using the self-driving technologies. So these are the 4 key elements that why we are doing what we do. So there are so many challenges out there, especially on the street. And for example, as probably most of us would be familiar, is the traffic could be quite complicated, as we see on the pictures here, where the users might tend to violate the rules. And even you have complicated scenarios where you would have some sort of vehicles that would come opposite side towards the car. And also, there are so many cities out there, especially in China and the US, where they are having road tests in order to get a permit. So we have to go through those tests in order to make sure the systems are safe. And also the cost, which is quite important, because we can always use very expensive sensors like the others shown on the picture above, or we could use some sort of a cheaper solution like shown on the picture bottom there, our sensors suite, and that means that it would bring more challenges to the algorithms that we are working on with lower cost sensors and hardware platform. So these are the challenges that we will have to address in order to make values to the market. So we want to bring a global advantages across these different cities that we have offices in, and we want to gather all these technologies, especially with the technologies, the talents from these different places, as well as the Chinese and even Malaysian genes that we have in the company. We want to be able to come up with a good solution to tackle these self-driving challenges. And how do we do that? So our startup, we basically focus on building a robust AI self-driving fleet. So how do we do that? We focus on bringing the best talents to the team, because our CEO is MIT PhD graduate, and then he went to Princeton to become a professor, and then started the company back in 2016. And then we tend to want to recruit the best talents out in the field from different AI universities or even the companies. And we also have been working on building a good strategic background, and we are very fortunate to be backed by investors like the top car OEMs, Shanghai Auto and Dongfeng Motors, as well as the capital today who has invested in JD.com, another popular shopping website. Because we understand that we not only have to develop a good set of AI algorithms, but we also have to work with partners to really deploy it to the market. And also, we are also focusing on developing the best AI algorithms so that we can tackle the very important challenges in the self-driving industry. So let me show you a couple of examples, and just to show like how close is self-driving technologies or the AI algorithms solving the self-driving challenges. So this is an example that we are doing. So we have a fleet of cars running in Shenzhen, Nanshan. It's actually a very popular area and also a crowded area because of all these famous landmarks there, like the Tencent HQ, even DJI HQ is there, and even the Tech Park, which is also a very famous kind of like Chinese Silicon Valley area over there. So you could imagine there are a lot of people or even cars on the streets every day. This is one of our main test areas. So, and these are a lot of corner cases where we would see on those streets. For example, jaywalkers or even someone run the traffic lights, close cut-ins, unprotected turns which don't have any traffic lights at all, or even stop signs, and even like cyclists and motorcyclists which would who would just randomly commute on the streets. So here's an example of the scene where you could see how our AI algorithm is tackling a couple of corner cases. For example, this unprotected turn, and then after that you would notice on the left-hand side there's another car that was illegal, and then just cutting in, and then this is another unprotected turn without the traffic light. We have to make the best judgment, and this is another unprotected turn. We have to make the best judgment to drive on those kind of scenario. And you could see in this scene, there are motorcyclists on the side of the road. We have to give them some safe distance as well. And what's going on inside our AI algorithm is shown on this video on the side. So basically, our algorithms consist of different modules, including perception, decision planning, even the area that has been mapped before. So you could see that in a challenging junction like this, where everyone wasn't really following the rules, our AI algorithms are still making the best judgment going through this kind of junction. And even in the middle of the road, there's a small little construction area. We have to handle those cases as well. And you might also notice that the scenario, it was happening when it was raining. So we also have to handle this kind of weather, day and night conditions. So currently, we are able to achieve hours of driving without human intervention, like as shown in this video. Yep. So this is basically a 1 hour video fast forwarded into like 1 minute or so. So you can see that this is what we have been testing and improving our AI algorithms based on this kind of crowded and busy scenes. And as we know, China, there's a lot of population there. We chose Shenzhen is because it's a dense of the dense cities. It's basically, according to statistics, it's the nation's most dense population city, more than some of the well-known cities like Shanghai and Beijing. Basically, we handle a lot of corner cases daily via these scenes. For example, under the bridge, which is a huge challenge to the GPS signals, and we don't use GPS signals. We basically use the sensors on the cars. Yep. So, and some of the technologies that we're deploying are also connected to the 5G network. in those cities. So that also helps us as well in navigating safely through our algorithms. Like for example, our algorithm would see that particular car from far away, and our car would just slow down. Yeah. So, and we tested it in different weather and day and night conditions as shown in this video. Oops. And it was raining heavily, and what we would do is we would switch to a different mode to make sure that it's still safely driven on the road. So it's kind of nice and neat, especially for people who don't want to drive in a stranger city or even in a very chaotic city. And we find that this is actually adding some values to those test users that we provided the service to. So talking about deployments, we have deployed a couple of pilots. One is the robot delivery, and we even customize our AI algorithms to different platforms, like you see here. Besides the passenger cars, also like small robot delivery, which can pull hundreds of kilograms of goods in a compound area. And also we have a robot taxi where we have an app. And next time, if you go to happen to be in the California area, you could also download our app and then use it in the Silicon Valley area. And not only that, we also have 5G systems that we are deploying with certain district governments as well in China. So here's one example. So we deployed the first robot delivery pilot, and it was back in 2018, August, and it was the first in its kind. Right now it's running actively. A fleet of 6 cars is delivering goods for the users. So we partner with restaurants and for example, people would get their goods from the trunk, and then after that, they can do some last-minute shopping at the back seat. We put the shelf, and then we have some sort of computer vision algorithms to detect which goods has been taken, and then after that, we automatically deduct the fees from the user's account. So we have sorted out some sort of like from the user interface through the financial payment pipeline up until this AI technology, where the idea is to connect hopefully the algorithm to the consumer much better. Another one is this robot taxi pilot. You can see the passenger call the cab through the app, and then he can or she can choose the location through an iPad. So once it's chosen, the car will be automatically assigned with a path to bring to the destination. Or the passenger can also change the destination midway. So we also have 5G intelligent network projects pilot. So we collaborated with a few telecom companies. Shown here is China Unicom. And we deploy, like for example, we basically use our sensors on a car and then put it on the infrastructure, and then use the sensor suite to detect any objects that could be dangerous and so on. And even XMap, we could push like maps, updates automatically through 5G, and XMonitor to monitor the scene. And even we have a remote operation. Right now we have a person who is controlling, in case there's any edge cases, our operator could remotely intervene and then drive it away or so on. So we got multiple permits in California, in the US cities, and also in China cities, and also a couple of permits are in works as well for a couple of cities, for some other cities. So this is my last slide, and we do a lot of tests. So this is a 2019 report to show that we are serious about our tests. And we are currently catching up with the other players. So we are world number 7 in testing our algorithms and refining it. And for the China's background, like Baidu, Pony, we are kind of top on the list when testing and when it comes to retesting and refining our algorithms. So well, I want to thank you all for listening, and it's really nice to be here. Thank you.